Let's go on to our next series. So the next one we want to talk about was Lakers Warriors, the series that the NBA wanted. Series
Good
that
job, NBA. You got it.
probably, I think it's probably safe to say the majority of the fan base at large probably wanted to see this one. Maybe the last time we'll see Steph and LeBron face off in the playoffs. Steph is 4-1 in those matchups, has an advantage.
Yeah, had a better team in every single one of them, so I think it's still
true.
cool that LeBron got one.
Yeah.
Before we even get into really any basketball X's and O's, whatever, I just want to talk about some of the fun narratives here. There's just like you already mentioned the first one, LeBron versus his old enemies is it's too fun. We've seen these guys play so much. Let's dust off Andre Iguodala, can we? Can we just get him to foul LeBron a couple times just for old time's sake?
You mean the highest paid assistant coach in the NBA?
Mm-hmm. There we go. Yeah, and they show him a lot. They show him cheerleading on the bench and talking to guys. I don't know if there's a conscious marketing effort of Iguodala still matters, but good for him. I doubt we will see him in the series though. But there's some other little micro rivalries here. Kind of some weird, love triangles. First, you got Andrew Wiggins versus LeBron James. And this hasn't been much of a thing for a while, but remember that LeBron James forced the trade for Kevin Love. As soon as they drafted Andrew Wiggins, James showed up. There was about 2 weeks of wondering what that duo would be like. Or Andrew Wiggins, does he get mentored by LeBron? And then nope, LeBron has no interest in playing in Wiggins. He's being shipped to Minnesota for Kevin Love. And for a while...
the first real Lee GM move.
The real what?
That was the first Lee GM moment.
That's yeah, I'm trying to think. Was there one
because in Miami, Pat Riley was doing his
You're
own
right.
thing.
Yeah.
He wasn't letting stars
That's true.
in that franchise.
The beginning of an era of questionable. Though the Kevin Love trade ultimately worked out, but you always wonder how Wiggins might the Wiggins that we see now might have ended up getting there quicker if he was forced into the secondary role, playing sort of like a defensive utility gap attacker next to LeBron James and being a finisher, because that's the role that he plays in Golden State and everyone celebrates him for, and he's been so good in. And he might have actually just gone straight to that out of necessity if he was playing next to LeBron James. But anyway, Wiggins used to very clearly, as someone who watched every Minnesota game, Wiggins would be bad. And then we get a game against Cleveland and Wiggins just completely comes alive. And I think he had a 40-point game against LeBron in one of his first 2 seasons or something like that. So I like that. And then there's also that Wiggins and D'Lo were traded for each other.
Yeah,
and the D'Lo was kind of discarded by the Warriors, or so it was seen at the time, even though it ended up being a really great trade for them. D'Lo's obviously moved on to the Lakers now, but so we got that. That's another. I like how they all these matchups somehow have to do with Andrew Wiggins. You wouldn't have I wouldn't have expected that, but there's a lot of drama in there, and he's looked so good in the playoffs. He's he's just really thriving in Golden State. So anyways, I'm liking a lot of that stuff.
Yeah. I mean, we have some other former teammates. Vanderbilt was also I don't know. No, Vanderbilt was not a Wiggins teammate, right? We just have a lot of Wolves connections between these two teams, but we're talking about different eras of the Wolves.
It's true.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll privately enjoy those, but I won't make people suffer through them on the podcast.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm the same way when I have former Blazers on teams. I can always recognize those guys. Tend to root for them.
Yeah. Any good former Blazers in this series? Can't think of. No one's coming to mind. I'm trying to. Well, let us know in the comments if we missed someone. I don't got the roster in front of me.
I mean, we have Wenyen Gabriel on the Lakers. He was a Blazer for a hot second, but I think that's about all I'm seeing here.
You don't miss him?
I mean, it would be nice to have Wenyen Gabriel this season. I mean, we're so desperate for a backup center of any kind. It would have been nice. Just a little bit of athleticism. But anyway, let's talk about the actual basketball that's going on.
Let's talk about Wenyen Gabriel for about 20 minutes, if that's okay with you.
He might get some minutes in this series. We'll see. I mean, he played a little bit in the first round against Memphis, but
Yeah. One initial question I have about this is what, after watching Steph, go for 50 points in a game 7 and just sort of reminding all of us what level of star he still is, that he's still firmly in his prime and still an MVP level player. Are AD and LeBron still on that level? Because that's not how either of them looked in
not
round one.
Consistently, yeah.
Well, I'd say AD not consistently. LeBron just like consistently was kind of mid in the first round. Not that I don't think LeBron can dial it up, but like he shot like 19% from 3 or something, and just also like did not look quite as kind of capable of just putting the team on his back when he needs. Now, maybe we will see that, but it's like, I think it should at least be a question just because he's 38 years old. Like, you just can't expect him to keep doing that forever. And he hasn't done it since his foot injury late in the season. He's looked just a little bit more slow, and he already looked a little bit more slow than he has from his prime. So I don't know. It's definitely like an interesting series to see, like, does LeBron James still got it? Not got it like, is he a good player? Like, got it. Like, what's the ceiling of a LeBron James performance, or expected possible ceiling?
Yeah, I mean, as bad as his 3-point shot is, his overall true shooting percentage is about the same as Jokic.
He's almost as efficient as the least efficient version of Jokic we've seen in his career.
my bigger concern for LeBron, I'm sure he's not going to have some insanely efficient series, and he'll have some nights where there are some maybe ill-advised pull-up 3-point shots that don't really have much of a chance of going in. But I'm a little bit more concerned with his kind of defensive versatility. You gotta really stay on your toes against this Warriors team and rotate. And against Memphis, LeBron could kind of get away with not doing that just because of the overall poor quality of the outside shooting whenever Luke Kennard wasn't on the floor. But against the Warriors, like you got Steph and Clay, and I know that Jordan Poole hasn't necessarily been awesome, but you still don't want to give that guy wide open corner threes.
Well, we talked about this in the first round matchup preview for Memphis and LA. Like LA is a paint protection team. Like that's the core of their defense, is like they can be, and that's where LeBron brings defensive value. Still, he's very smart on the back line. When he can beat guys, he won't beat guys to spots with quickness anymore, but he'll know where to be and be really smart and really strong. And that was a big problem for Memphis because they were a paint scoring offense that relied on like they were a battering ram.
Golden State doesn't care about the basket.
Golden State, yeah, they don't need paint scoring at all. They're like one of the only teams that can just be like, we can actually skip out on paint scoring unless like you're gonna give it to us, because we're very happy to just bomb you to death. And LA's not set up to do that at all. Like they just looking at the shot distribution of these defenses, and it goes kind of back the other way, too, because the Warriors don't let people in the paint. They're number 2 in defensive shot distribution of the rim. So they're the number 2 team in stopping people from getting paint shots, and LA needs paint shots, where the Warriors don't need the paint. And that's 26th in rim shot distribution. Like that to me is like the big, in terms of just matchup, like offenses versus defenses in this, like that stands out to me as like a stylistic big red flag for LA in this.
Yeah, I mean, the overall quality of the spacing has been pretty bad. Overall, Rui Hachimura has been their best 3-point shooter in the playoffs thus far. And then D'Angelo Russell is kind of number 2 and the only other guy who's been able to provide some kind of threat from outside the arc. And that's about it on the Lakers roster.
They're both so hot and cold, those two.
Yeah, both those guys are extremely inconsistent.
Yeah. I mean, when it comes to the 3-point shot, everyone's a little bit inconsistent. But like those two do not have established track, or especially Rui. Like Rui was on fire in that first round matchup. You can't count on. He can definitely shoot. He's shot well, especially on open threes. Going back a couple of years now, I think he's a good shooter, but you don't quite expect that level. And D'Lo is just, the last 2 seasons has been so notorious for his up and down shooting and just looking like an all NBA guard at his best and looking like like you want him off your team at his worst kind of thing. So they're not, there's not shooting on this roster Malik Beasley, we could see him playing more if the Lakers are trying to find ways to sort of go toe to toe.
Yeah, and he's been pretty bad on the Lakers just with his ability to shoot. But
yeah,
he's a guy who does have the ability in there somewhere.
Yeah. Are we going to see like Jared Vanderbilt chasing Steph Curry around screens? Like, I'm just trying to think like how I would coach matchups in this. Like,
I think we're gonna have to. Yeah.
You like what? Like, you got a really bad screen navigator in D'Angelo Russell. Like, he really wants to hang back behind screens. Like, he's never had the speed or the focus to really do that kind of thing.
After my own heart. That's pretty much how I play defense. Fight through screens is hard,
Yeah. You also have to be willing, especially in like in pickup. You have to the league I'm playing with.
You don't want to wake up with a sore back. You just you can have that shot.
Yeah, and everyone wants to like kind of hip check each other on screens, and then like be like, oh, and make it seem like the other person was me. Screen defense is kind of violent. It's like you do kind of have to tussle a little bit. You're not just getting cleanly around screens. You're like trying not to pick up an offensive or a defensive foul, and
especially with Looney and Draymond, there's quite a bit of lateral movement. There's some elbows. There's some hands grabbing shorts. There's a lot that goes on there with trying to get around those screens.
I think of like when I think of some of the matchups in this, like I do not feel very good about LA. Like think about the players they can throw at LeBron. Like he's going to be guarded by Draymond Green and Andrew Wiggins, like nonstop for most of this series. Like there's not like it's hard for him to catch a break in that regard. Like that's pretty rough.
Yeah, I mean, we really saw the Lakers kind of bully and dominate the Grizzlies on the interior, especially in Game 7. And I thought the games that the Lakers blew the Grizzlies out, so we're talking Game 3 and Game 7 here, especially, they got really snowbally, like the Grizzlies just weren't able to get clean looks at the rim, and they weren't able to hit threes, and then things kind of just got worse as their offensive shot attempts became increasingly more desperate. And I just don't think that's going to happen against the Warriors. The Warriors have significantly better comeback ability, with how dynamic their offense is and how they're not just set into one way of creating shots. I mean, well, they kind of are just in terms of like Curry's off-ball brilliance, but there's not like a way that you can effectively defend that. So I'm a little concerned from the Lakers' perspective. Not saying that I would pick them to win the series or anything, but I just think their ability to dominate the interior, that's got to really like surprise us. I think to give them a good chance of actually winning the series. They got to really turn off the offensive rebounding from Golden State. Make sure they win the possession battle by a significant margin.
I just feel like it's been so many series now where we've wondered whether you can take advantage of Golden State's like smaller front court, and it just never happens. Like they just don't, like even when the other team has bigger players, like it just doesn't matter. Like Draymond and Looney play a lot bigger, and especially just seeing how they handled Sabonis. The only extra edge I'll give to AD is like, how much can he punish them for their lack of verticality? How much can he just sort of like get up in the air and try to like generate some cleaner looks? It's because besides that, it's like, Sabonis, I would have thought of him as a little bit more of a dangerous like interior scorer, like at least against strength kind of thing. Because AD is not going to have a strength.
Pretty ground bound though.
That's what I mean. That's why AD is like, that's the edge I could see him having. But I thought that Sabonis was going to be too strong for Looney. And so AD's not going to be too strong for anyone in this series. Like both of those guys are capable of bodying him.
Yeah.
So that's definitely going to be something interesting to watch. They don't really have a backup big though. Like there's not like Jonathan Kuminga is the closest thing. Like JaMychal Green's on the bench if there's foul trouble or something like that. But like, and I'm kind of.
I don't think JaMychal Green's gonna do anything against Davis.
No, I'm just saying like if like who would be guarding him in the event where those guys are on the floor. We didn't see Kuminga or Green almost at all in that first round series, and I don't think that's something that they're. I don't think that's something that the Warriors are hoping to see at all. But obviously, the Lakers
Yeah.
would love to see plenty of JaMychal Green or Jonathan Kuminga in this series.
The Lakers did like going small, putting LeBron at the 5 and Rui at the 4 against the Grizzlies. That's kind of their go-to lineup when Davis was off the floor. I'm not sure if they can do that against the Warriors.
Yeah, have fun against like the Draymond Green at 5. That's just like there's not an advantage to gain there.
You're playing into their hands.
Yeah, that's their favorite lineup. Like, oh, like thank you. Now we can play now we can not be not have Poole punished as much defensively. Like I don't see them winning that advantage. The one edge I will give to the Lakers though is that Golden State does foul. That's like they foul about. Yeah, but they like the point of attack defense in LA is so bad. I don't see them forcing turnovers. That's something that I don't see Golden State getting punished for, because who's getting those steals outside of Vando? Like they're good on the back line, but like that's not. They didn't force turnovers at all during the year. Like they're one of the least turnover forcing teams in the NBA. So I see no edge there, but I do see Golden State fouling 20 times per 100, 22 in their first round series. They actually fouled more. But LA did not get to the line against Memphis. That's like, we thought that's how they were going to beat Memphis, or would be conditional to them beating Memphis, but they didn't really need to. They 17 free throw attempts per game against Memphis, down from 26 per game. Sorry, not per game, per 100, but that's still like Memphis is not a very foul-y team, despite what people think. I think we were just like, oh, Jaren Jackson Jr. has foul problems, but when I was looking at it later, I was like, Memphis was like a bottom 10 fouls per game.
Turns out
team
it's just
anyway.
him.
So yeah, and he stayed out of foul trouble in that series. It just didn't matter because they didn't have any other bigs. Everyone really just glossed over the fact that Memphis did not have a front court. We're like, yeah, maybe that doesn't matter. Maybe it's fine that they only have like one. That. But and like like we'll take that loss, but also everyone wanted to skip over that. Even people like who were picking LA, it was more because they liked LA. It wasn't like everyone kind of glossed over. Maybe you need more than one functional NBA big in a playoff series.
Too much 2023 brain. I mean, it's they really didn't have a center like functionally at all. Like Xavier Tillman is 6'7", and he's not much of an athlete. Like Memphis was playing with two power forwards, doing like a weak side defender and really more of just like a wing who has a strong big frame and good center of gravity playing the 5. Turns out you do need some kind of interior presence. And then, with Ja's injury and the inconsistent shooting, they didn't have much of a perimeter game either. The Warriors' defensive weakness is definitely guarding the perimeter. They really struggle to defend small guards, but like, unless D'Angelo Russell really goes off, the Lakers can't necessarily exploit that either.
Austin Reeves. I can see Austin Reeves like being a big bully in this series. Like he's established an ability to Yeah, I mean that's what the Lakers need him to.
Austin Reeves isn't like a crazy athlete though.
No. I mean, he can get up a little bit, but he's pretty, he's kind of like, his movement style is, when I see people compare him to Ginobili, I'm like, I kind of get it, but like, Ginobili was like, he played on the ball, was so light on his feet and, so graceful, swooping in, where Austin Reeves is clunky and a little bit slow.
Austin Reeves reminds me of like a 2003 shooting guard. He just really loves to get into the lane and, take that turnaround jumper or, drop in and dump off pass.
I think he's like, he seems kind of like the version, like there's this kind of, we've talked about this kind of high school prospect before, like OJ Mayo or Shabazz Muhammad or Lance Stevenson kind of types. Like these, he kind of has that, like how they should have tried to play in the NBA, just be like kind of bully ball with some extra skills. Like, I know that's like, I know you're not supposed to make like cross-racial comparisons. It's heresy, but that's kind of like what I see is like, oh, if those guys played with a little bit less ego, because Austin Reeves is always like, not like, I mean, he's excelled as a role player from day one in the NBA, basically. So I love to see him have a big series. He's a really fun player to watch. And he's not someone that you can hide someone on. Unfortunately, as long as Vando's on the court, you don't have to hide anyone on Austin Reeves. Like you can stash someone on Vando and devote more defensive there. It'd be cool to see, like, you think Austin Reeves can bully Klay Thompson? Like Klay Thompson does not have that leg strength he used to. Yeah,
that's true. I mean, Klay Thompson does have a height advantage, may have a wingspan advantage. So
I think he can draw fouls though.
It's probably not matchup that you want to go to often.
Mm.
But it might be there.
You got a pick for this series?
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Warriors. I just think the defensive versatility, I think Steph is the best player in the series by a pretty significant margin with the way he's playing right now. And I don't know, I've seen enough from Klay Thompson. Andrew Wiggins has been pretty up and down. He was really bad in Game 7, but overall for the entirety of the Kings series, he was solid. Really high level defensively, just the offense was kind of up and down.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think the Warriors have just shown time and time again they can put 3 non-shooters on the floor for defense sake and still have a pretty good offense,
Yes. Or they can put 3 non-defenders on the floor for offense's sake and have their back line like clean everything up. That's, I think, the coolest thing about this version of the Warriors. Just that we can shift offense to defense without you being able to really punish us too much, which means we can put anyone on the floor, which is like, that's crazy. That's like, that's typically the kind of thing that dooms you in the playoffs, is like that lineup that can't do that. And the Warriors just seem to not have that problem.
Yeah. The one thing I will say is I don't really see this being a Gary Payton series. I don't know that they really need him. I mean, all of the Lakers' best players that you want your strongest defenders on are like 6'8" and above. So, they don't necessarily have a perimeter guy that you really need to chase around and make sure that they're not getting open looks. So, does that mean they play Jordan Poole more? Is Dante DiVincenzo? I mean, he's already playing a lot, but is he out there more often? I don't know what they do. That's the one hole in their rotation where they're going to have to fill it with someone, and maybe Ty Jerome. Well, I don't know who goes out there.
I mean, they have 5 guys who play over 30 minutes a game, and then after that, I feel like the next 4 players can be used interchangeably based on matchup. I think you can boost Jordan Poole's minutes. I think you can boost Dante DiVincenzo's minutes. You can boost Gary Payton's minutes. Moses Moody is where it starts getting a little bit fuzzy, I think, though, he shot the ball well in round 1, and then like Jonathan Kuminga lurks at the edge of the sort of rotation where you could see.
I don't know. I feel like you want shooting against the Lakers and spacing.
Yeah, but I'm saying I mean more in general. Like if you needed an injection of sort of like size and physicality, like Kuminga would be an option. So I'm not that concerned about like their bench, because I think any of those guys can scale up or scale down. It's not like controversial if Dante DiVincenzo only plays 10 minutes per game or Gary Payton the second. And I think you can play Draymond and Kevin Looney even more minutes kind of thing. They played Steph Curry almost 40 minutes a game in that series. So, I mean, that's maybe something to keep an eye on, but Wiggins can play. I don't even know why they sub off Wiggins. Like he's never lost his breath in his whole life.
No. Yeah. I mean, he's only at 32 minutes a game. I mean, I feel like he should be getting star level playoff minutes, like 38 minutes a game.
He was at 35 in this series. So he boosted that a little bit.
Oh, I'm looking at regular season. I'm sorry. Silly me.
Yeah. But if they need to, if it doesn't, okay, let's move on to the next side. I got Warriors in either 5 or 6.
Oh, I don't think it'll be 5.
I don't like the matchup. I really don't like it, and
I don't either. I'm going to give the Lakers 2 games though. I think Warriors in 6.
Yeah, I think that's the safest bet. I just like to be a little edgy and be like, gentlemen's sweep.
Yeah.